The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it's hump day after the carnage at the city council meeting, the dance of the chickens at the city council meeting. Yeah, the dance of the chickens. Listening to all the Goebbels propaganda. They're still trying to muddy the water. Oh, I think he should resign, but there's 90 days. Where he got the 90 days from, I don't know. There's 90 days about a recall and things. But they're all making excuses because they won't go on record. So now I guess Councilor Stephen Camara handed us something. I didn't have a chance to read it. I gave it to you, CJ, about the cost. The cost. This is why he doesn't want to do this because of the cost. Well, I hate to tell you this, Steve. You didn't worry about the $10 million we spent on streetscapes when you got your street paved in front of your house, in front of one of your properties. So you're not worried. This is what really gets me. How many bonds have we taken over the last 2 years that the city council has rubber stamped? They've spent millions of dollars. We got a debt override. We've got everything. More and more of your money, your tax dollars in. Now Steve Camara is worried about the cost of allowing the people's business to be done. That to me is unacceptable. Absolutely. Look, just come out and say it. Just come out and say you don't want the mayor to resign because, you got your street paved.
Well, what's interesting is, I read this letter, and it breaks down the cost for the city, for the council, for everything. But the bottom line cost they're talking about is between $330,000 and $420,000 for everybody. That's not just for the city. That's for everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, it's misleading, kind of like our city administrator is always misleading. It's misleading the way Kathy Ann Viveris lied. Half-truths, again. We never get a straight answer. She's a paid city. As far as I'm concerned, that's malfeasance. She attempted to cover up the fact about the car that the mayor was arrested in when she was asked, was that where that car was by Councilor Kadim, I believe.
Yep. And
she said the car was in the city. And then further questioning revealed that the car wasn't in the city, that it was driven back. But she knows it was driven back by someone who had the keys, but she doesn't know who it was. Now, I want to ask you, she's making $140 grand a year, I believe now. She's paid to be the city administrator, and she's supposed to be truthful to the legislative body. That was an intentionally misleading statement. She didn't want to say it, just like when she went before the council and said the 2 times that the city of Fall River took employee money and put it in a city account and got caught and had to pay it back wasn't that. It was the employee trust fund was just too big and we were paying it down. And I went before the council and took item by item and refuted it, and I still have the CD. And she never, ever mentioned it again. She flat out misrepresented, and that's a fancy word like lawyers use rather than just say she's lying. She's attempting to mislead the public. Her job is not to administer this city, in my opinion, in the best interest of the people of Fall River. Her job is to cover for the mayor. Misrepresent fact, manipulate figures, then revamp them to push the mayor's agenda. That's why I have always been in favor of a Type E charter. We should be Worcester. We should not. We should have a ceremonial mayor, because fundamentally that's all we've had for the past 10 years. Ceremonial mayors. People that go out, spend money, spend your tax dollars, spend their investors' money, go out, go to adult entertainment, buy Mercedeses, wear $600 loafers. He's not the only one that used to go to Providence to the adult entertainment centers. We had a previous mayor that did it too and was cited there many times. But we should have a ceremonial mayor that's not making 120 grand. We should have a city manager who's hired to do one thing: to be fiscally responsible and run this city and deliver the services that are necessary. And if he's not, and then if he screws up, you just fire him, because he's not a politician. He's hired as a manager, and you can can him. I mean, Somerset's got a town manager. Worcester has got a city manager. And long ago I said we should have it at key. But every time I see half-truths intentionally being told, or the old, I don't have the numbers in front of me, I'll get back to you.
We hear that every week.
That's right. You're obstructing, you're intentionally obstructing the truth from coming out to protect a political agenda. And as far as I'm concerned, you're a public employee and you're guilty of malfeasance. When is the city council going to demand that she tells the truth? Why wasn't she called out immediately? He had to ask 3 follow-up questions to find out that the car wasn't in the city of Fall River? Really? You go down there in your capacity as the city administrator to provide information to the city council. You are supposed to, you are obligated to, it is your duty to provide accurate information. Not give them a half a story or an excuse. In a time far gone by, when they called somebody down to the council, they better have answers. Otherwise, they were sent back to their office to get the numbers, and the next time they appeared, their feet were going to be held to the fire. You wonder why this city's so screwed up? Well, all you had to do was not only get away from him, everybody that's associated with this government right now, you never get a straight answer from anybody. And I guess Howie Carr was right that they're all so crooked they need a corkscrew to get in their trousers.
I'm telling you, it's just ridiculous. But let's look at some of the stuff that's gone on.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yesterday at the city council meeting, there was some citizens' input.
Yep.
And one of the citizens had to be escorted out of the building again. That's the second time.
Yeah, again.
In 2 weeks.
At least she didn't use as many F-bombs this time as she did the last time.
I didn't hear any, but that doesn't mean that she didn't use them.
Yeah, no. No, but she basically indicted every city councilor. Right. Which is, again, pay attention. You know, I understand politics is kind of dirty, but remember, when you don't have an argument, because if you really had an argument that the other people somebody's wrong, you just destroy them by proving them wrong and telling them that they're full of crap. But when you don't have an argument, you pull. I'm going to call this now the millennial defense, because they act like overgrown children. And I've said it before on the show and in front of the council. It is not a defense when you get caught stealing cookies to say Johnny stole a cookie too. Why are you picking on me? He steals cookies too. You know, the fact is that if you want to talk about innocent until proven guilty, that individual indicted people, accused them of selling tiles or whatever it was, accused the other guy having and I'm glad that Dan Robillard made his presentation because he cleared up what we have talked about the council. They're technically, they all have a conflict of interest because any one of them by our charter could become the new mayor, the acting mayor. Because if president and vice president don't accept, it goes to the council for a vote. So that's crap. It's just part of the process. It's like if the president gets removed, there's an order of ascension to the presidency. So are we going to say that everybody that runs for vice president has an agenda they want to become president? That's why you ran for vice president, because you wanted to become president. Well, I mean, that's ridiculous. But, you know, we see this attacking. They get in there and they attack you got an axe to grind, you got an axe to grind, you got an axe to grind. And as I said at the council, this isn't about guilt or innocence, due process, charter. Very simple question which they won't address because they want to muddy the water enough so people don't pay attention to the question. Do you believe that this mayor can effectively execute the duties of his office with a newspaper article virtually every day coming out, media coverage virtually every day, federal agents walking around subpoenaing more of his staff to appear before the grand jury? So what happens? That individual is now supposedly, I've been told, is on leave because being a witness can't have any contact with the mayor. So rather than the mayor doing the right thing and leaving, he'll put her on, taxpayers are going to pay her salary and she's not showing up for work. What happens if Kathy Ann, Mary Sahadi, and a whole bunch of other people in this city get subpoenaed? Are we going to have nobody left? No department heads, no administrators, no financial team? They'll all be on leave because they can't have contact with the mayor. So rather than the mayor leave like he should, we'll put everybody on paid leave and the city can just come to a halt because there's nobody here except him in his office. So this is beyond insane. This is beyond insane. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And stop trying to call out everybody else. Yeah, you know, but for the individual who was thrown out of the council, I'll give you a paraphrase of a quote. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. You know, so you're going to start bringing up allegations, and they are allegations, on every councilor that doesn't have your side of the argument. Argue on the issues.
That's too logical.
And there's only one issue here, as far as I see it. Do you think that the mayor can execute his duties?
And 76%?
Not be a negative. You think somebody from outside that wants to deal with the city of Fall River wants to walk into the government center and dodge federal agents? You think people want to come in here when you got an article like this in the Boston Globe? I encourage you all to read it. There was one in the Herald, now there's one in the Globe.
That was on the front page above the fold.
And above the fold, front page, and there have been articles all over the country.
All over the world.
All over the world. And I ran into an attorney from another community who told me they were reading about it in, I forgot what publication. But the reality is, you know, we're a laughingstock. So but if you look, you're entitled to an opinion. Maybe I think you might be, you know, if you have that opinion, maybe you should actually probably maybe go for some counseling. But if you believe he can effectively do this job with all that's going on, and I know the zombies, and I love that term that you coined, zombies, then you believe a pedophile can be in charge of a daycare, I guess, and that a DA that's indicted for murder can still prosecute other people. That this job does not have an attachment of the perception of the individual. I guess the people in Pawtucket are even smarter because they got rid of their mayor when he was in this position.
Yeah, they boxed him right out. I mean, they wouldn't even let him into his office. They
Yeah,
locked
they
the
put
door.
yeah. Unlike Fall River, who had a police officer to keep him in his office.
Right.
They had a police officer to keep that mayor out of his office.
Exactly. Exactly.
But let's missing language. I don't know. What are you going to? Let's
Well,
look
Dawn Surratt is the one that's heading up this recall, and Joe Pereira. And again, it was shot down. Now, Dawn Surratt said yesterday that the affidavit was correct, and she said that Attorney Macy said it wasn't correct because he didn't like the location of under the pains and penalty of perjury. Now, if they used a jurat, which I use all the time, it's perfect. It's perfect. That's the way it's even written in the Massachusetts general law. This is how you do it. Now, if they did it that way, and I did not see the petition, I haven't seen the petition since the first one, it would be fine. But now they're going back, doing it all over again. They've got an attorney with them this time, which we said was going to happen. They were going to need an attorney. They've got an attorney that's writing up this whole petition, having it signed accordingly. And then Allison brought up on the radio, she said, well, if we can't read the signatures, it's not going to be certified. And they only brought in 10 signatures last time, which is true. That's why, if you remember correctly, when we did the recall, we had 13 signatures.
That's right. And we also saw that petition, and we actually mentioned in our conversation that some of those signatures, we knew they were going to be chucked because they were illegible.
Right.
And for the record, for you who don't know, CJ is a notary public.
And a justice of the peace.
And a justice of the peace, and a more degrees in a thermometer, PhD in nursing, and all the other things. But the fact is, the affidavit that CJ prepared was 100% correct. But then I have questioned why Joe Macy stuck his 2 cents. Well, I know why, because he's a political hack who wants to justify his $20,000 pay raise over his previous $90,000 salary for a part-time job. But I read the charter. The recall provision doesn't say anything about the Corporation Council reviewing anything. The burden of determining its ability is totally on the city clerk.
Correct.
I don't see anything about review by Corporation Council
in the recall provision.
In the recall provision. And I've read it more than once. So I question the legality of him even sticking his nose in there, because that's the reason that I said this chart is a disaster, because they allow everybody to do whatever they want. Now, he decides on form and content. He may sign form and not content. He may sign a form on form, basic form and boilerplate on collective bargaining agreements. That's standard. But if you look at our charter in the recall provision, and I encourage you all to go look at it, it clearly states that the petition is submitted to the city clerk. The city clerk determines and then issues the petitions. There's nothing about review. But if you look earlier in the charter about other types of petitions, it says that they'll be reviewed by the Corporation Council. So to me, its absence is clear. He had no business sticking his nose in there.
That's right. That's right.
And again, it's a delay tactic for his employer, the mayor.
Right. And that's why I said in Citizens Input last week that, you know, Joe Macy's going to be responsible for defending the city on removing the mayor from office, and Joe Macy works for the mayor. He doesn't work for the city. He constantly says he works for the city, but he doesn't. The Bar Association said when Liz Souza was Corporation Counsel that the Corporation Council works for the mayor, not for the city.
That's right. Yep, and that is a ruling. It's not our opinion. There was a ruling. There was a ruling. And
That's right.
You're 100% right. There was an actual ruling on that.
Because members of the city council wanted to file a complaint against the Corporation Council under a previous administration, and that ruling came down that they cannot file the complaint because they don't have standing, because the Corporation Council does not work for the city. The Corporation Council works for the mayor.
That's right.
Therefore, that's the way it is.
And welcome to the real world of recall. This recall is going to be blocked with every conceivable trick, dirty or undirty, and I know how offended two of our councilors got when one citizen's input accused them of being, what is it, a dirty, old-time dirty tactic or
Yeah,
something.
an old-time dirty tactic.
And another inputter called what they did at the previous meeting cowardly, and
It was the same person, actually.
no, actually it was Mr. I forgot his name now. He always speaks, the Portuguese gentleman.
That's Antonio Teixeira.
Yeah, I know, but the cowardly comment came from Dan Robillard.
Yes.
Because he actually quoted the charter virtually chapter and verse.
And he can, because he was on the Charter
Because he
Commission.
was on a charter commission, and he was the foremost advocate for the people because he basically didn't agree with anything on a charter, and he's been proven to be 1,000% correct. Dan stood up for the people. He said the charter was garbage. He filed a minority opinion on the final charter, and he was 100% right, and kudos goes for him for doing his job. But he called this the obstruction of the people's business it was cowardly, and I guess Councilor Steve Camara took it personally and went on a tirade about he's not a coward and he's not. Well, you know, obviously it's in perception, it's semantics.
And Joe Camara said that he's not against voting the mayor out of office. He's not against that. He thinks the mayor should step down. But Joe Camara said, I don't believe that it should be unlimited. I think that it should be, you know, for a set period of time.
Well, but which is bull. That's just another way of ducking it.
Yeah.
You know, Joe Camara is going to say he thinks he should resign, but he won't vote for it because he'll come up with some ridiculously convoluted logic like Steve is with the cost. Who cares? It's justice for the people. You're worried about $300,000 totally. The cost to the city is less, as you pointed out. But you'll spend $10 million paving a street that goes nowhere except in front of one of your properties. That's okay. We can spend millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars, on something that doesn't benefit. We leave streets unpaved, and we're paving a campaign contributed street that has virtually, what, two minuscule businesses on them? So we're going to justify...
And that same campaign contributor got a liquor license that he's not using.
That's right, that he's not using. So, but there's, you know, but that's okay. So these two are going to come up with these convoluted reasons. You know, it's about the money. Can't see the people spending it. But you'll vote to spend tens of millions of dollars. But to let the people get justice, you'll allow a mayor that's destroying this city on a daily basis stay in office. That is cowardly.
I agree.
And he called them out. He said, you know, it is cowardly. You know, now Dan, I don't believe, and I can't speak for him, but we can always get him on the show. He's always ready. And I did have a conversation with him actually last night. He took it in context that he was calling him a coward. He said what they did was a cowardly act. In other words, you didn't face and stand up for what you are our representative. And as I said when I read the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Part 4 and 5, actually, part of the first Article 4 and 5, about us never abrogating our right even to the federal government, and then 5 is about that everybody we elect is always answerable to us and at all times are agents. As I said, it's not optional as far as I'm concerned. They have an obligation to go on record. And as I said, if you know, be man enough to say, okay, I think he should stay in office. That is cowardly. To say, I believe he should resign, and then come up with some convoluted, ridiculous reason why. No, This man is screwing up the city. Staying in office is destroying it. We don't have much left to turn into scorched earth, but he's managing to do it. I mean, you know, how much more can this city take without turning into dust?
It's only a matter of time.
You know,
as you know, it's only a matter of time.
And it's like, you know, remember when, you know, if you turned and looked at Sodom and Gomorrah, you know, you turn into a pillar of salt.
Right.
You know, but I can guarantee you, if the mayor leaves the 6th floor, he won't turn into a pillar of salt.
Right. Well, speaking about the mayor and his incompetencies, he was cited again.
Again.
For hiding money.
Again.
By OCPF.
Again. Again. That's very important. Again.
Again. October 9th, 2 days before he was arrested, OCPF under CPF 18-59, the Friends of Jazel F. Correa II Legal Defense Fund. He did not claim $16,000 of money. That's what this mayor's good for, not claiming money, hiding money. And he filed an amendment to his report in October to reflect the $16,000, but OCPF is now requiring that all bank statements associated with the Legal Defense Fund be submitted on a monthly basis until September 30th, 2020. To resolve this matter, the Legal Defense Fund has amended the April 2018 donation report to accurately reflect the donations received. In addition, the Legal Defense Fund has agreed to provide OCPF with bank statements on a monthly basis through September 30, 2020. Therefore, because the Legal Defense Fund has now taken the appropriate remedial action by amending its donation report, and because we anticipate the guidance provided as a result of this review will ensure further compliance with the campaign finance law, this matter may be closed at this time. You should be aware, however, that future instances of non-disclosure may result in referral to the Office of the Attorney General pursuant to Massachusetts General Law 55, Section 3.
And remember, Correa was given similar requirements in 2017 after
That's right, on his campaign.
OCPF found his political campaign failed to comply with campaign finance laws. But then again, who cares? They don't have to comply by laws. And then, you know, they have their cadre of propagandists. There's a propagandist on a local radio station who is contending that this is no big deal. It's no big deal to take people's money and spend it because he'll pay it back eventually. Maybe, you know, who cares? I mean, some of the logic that's being employed to defend the indefensible is just mind-boggling. You know, it's not about what Cliff Ponte did. It's not about what any city councilor did. It's not about whether he is presumed innocent. It's not about whether he gets due process. It's not about the charter. It's about our legislative body standing up and saying this man should not be in office because he cannot effectively perform the duties. That's simple.
It is that simple. And to prove how simple it was, they couldn't even, Steve Camara made the motion to take the 3 items off the floor, the vote to remove him, the vote of no confidence, and the vote to ask the mayor to resign.
Yeah.
He made a motion. He couldn't even get anyone to vote to take it off the table because Derek Viveris asked that it be kept on the table until he can come back and make a comment on it because he wants to be heard. How he wants to be heard, we don't know, and we won't know until he gets back.
But I don't even know if that's parliamentarily legal. I mean...
Well, they made a motion to take it off the table. It got a second. They took a vote, and the vote went against it.
Okay, so then it's legal.
Right.
Because, you know, I mean, it's a priority motion, and you know, Derek Viveris can make that request, but they can't use that to not act on a priority motion. So, but that's another thing. But again, we'll see you on Friday with, I'm sure, a lot more to talk about. Let's see. Nobody hit the mega millions in Massachusetts. 2 people hit $1 million. But guess what? I can't hire the lawyers yet. But let's start a pool on who gets subpoenaed to the grand jury next.
It'll be great to see. Hey, everyone, have a great day, and we'll see you on Friday.